Hi everybody and welcome to today's Faith Moments. So this is a second in a little series of 3 from myself, and I'm just really excited about the cross, really am, and about everything that God's done for us and paid for us. And I'm just saying, Lord, I want to live in the reality, the full reality of what you've given to me and to us and what you've achieved. Help us to see it. So that's where I'm going today. If you remember, last week, if you were with us, talked about approaching God with boldness, with confidence, the child running into its father's arms and just saying, "Here I am, Dad." Today, I want to think about receiving mercy from God our Father. Taking us back to the cross, the resurrection, what did Jesus achieve for us? What did God do it for? Why did the Father allow it to happen, even desire it to happen? Why at that moment did God prefer us to Jesus, as John Mountain has said before? I'm trying to see it from God's point of view. And in my heart, there's a northern lass here, that if something's been paid for, I don't want to waste it. Why waste what's been paid for at such a high price? So here we go. Hebrews 4. Since then, we have a great high priest who has passed through the heavens, Jesus, the Son of God. Let us hold fast to our confession. And as we looked at last week, Jesus died and rose again and entered into the heavenly places as the great high priest who intercedes for you and for me right now, who took by his blood, he entered the heavenly places and he offered a sacrifice once and for all for the sins, for the lives of men, women, and children. And is standing there right now, or seated actually, at the right hand of the Father, interceding for you and for me, praying for us. So since we have a great high priest who has passed through the heavens, Jesus, the Son of God, let us hold fast to our confession. And remembering again that we don't have a high priest who is unable to sympathize with our weaknesses, but we have one who in every respect has been tested as we are, yet without sin. This Jesus who's standing or sitting, praying for you right now at the right-hand side of God, he knows what it's like to be where you are. He understands, he sympathizes with the messes that we get into. He doesn't expect us to be superhuman. He knows our weaknesses. Don't forget, the Bible just talks about us as being like sheep that have gone astray. When you walk on the hills around here at Parbols, sheep are the silliest things. They run all over the place. God doesn't expect us to be any better. He sympathizes with our weaknesses. And therefore, as we looked at last week, let us approach the throne of grace with confidence. And I've put here the amplified version. Let us then fearlessly and confidently and boldly draw near to the throne of grace. This is the child running to his dad. Child that knows that the Father wants him or her and can see the Father's arms open wide, and they're running to the Father. And in my mind, in my little image, I've got the Father there with his arms out on the throne saying, "Come on, Sue, here we go." And I've got Jesus next to him saying, "That's what I paid for." That you could come home fearlessly, confidently, boldly drawing near to the Father and staying in his arms forever. Jesus saying, "That's what I paid for. That's what it was all about." Let us then fearlessly and confidently and boldly draw near to the throne of grace. Now, this throne of grace, it's not God telling us off. It would be if it wasn't for Jesus. But that price on the cross, the blood that was shed, the life that was given, and when Jesus cried out, "It is finished," it was so that the throne of grace could be a place of grace, not of condemnation. You and me, in all our weaknesses, in all our sin, as we come close, Jesus is saying, "Father, remember the blood. I paid for this. I paid for their forgiveness. I paid that their old life could end and I could live in them. Father, I paid for them. I paid for them. You don't have to be better in yourself than you are. Jesus has paid for everything." So let us then fearlessly and confidently and boldly draw near to the throne of grace, the throne of God's unmerited favor to us sinners. And this, it's beautiful, anyway, I'll go on to that later, that we may receive mercy for our failures. That's what I focus on today, that we may receive mercy for our failures. And that word mercy, it means compassion, pity. That when God looks at us, he's not, I think he's sad by the mistakes we make, certainly, because we've hurt ourselves and we've hurt other people and we've hurt his world, but he has mercy, he has pity, he has compassion. Think of the prodigal son who was coming home with nothing, that had messed up completely, and the father was filled with compassion, with mercy, and he had to run to his son. He had to hold him, he had to embrace him, he had to bring him home, he had to throw the party. That's what's happening inside God's heart. And again, I want to try and see this from God's point of view. When you and I hold back because we're worried that God maybe hasn't forgiven us, or yes, we've messed up, but we're frightened of doing it again, so we won't try anymore. And God's saying, my kid, my child, I've paid for everything so that you can mess up, and even mess up again, provided you're trying to do your best. I know what you're like, but keep on going. Don't be afraid. Come to the throne of grace to receive mercy, to receive pity, to receive compassion for your failures and for the weakness that's in you. I think sometimes people don't come to church, and church isn't, of course, God, it's only the place where we meet, but they don't come because they don't think they're good enough. And I think, Father, what have we got wrong? Or maybe they're conscious of the mistakes that they've made. Even during COVID, there are some people, regular churchgoers, who've become almost worried about coming back somehow. Maybe we've got it wrong. Maybe I haven't been what I should have been. How about we just receive mercy, pity, compassion for our failures and our weaknesses, that allows us to step up and carry on, because we're looking into the eyes of the Father, who is saying, my child, I love you. I love you. And Jesus is there at the side saying, this is what I paid for, so that you could come home and do it, try again, with all your mess, with all your weakness, with all your frailty. Where did the father in the prodigal son get all that stuff to give to the son that came home? Don't forget, he's wasted half his money. God's grace, God's mercy is endless. We may mess up 1,000,000 times, and God still has mercies that are new every morning to pour out on your life and on my life. And I've put there a picture of a small child because it reminded me, we were doing an outdoor service down at All Saints, and I was giving out some little tokens to pray with at the end, some reminders for prayer. And I only sort of half started the sentence about, I'm going to give these, and one of the young boys came straight up and just held his hand out in front of me like that and looked at me. I don't think he even knew what I was giving. And I just said, oh, right, so can I have one? And he was so polite, but he was just waiting with his hand out. And I loved that. I thought that was absolutely superb. This little boy saying, Stu's giving something, I want it, please, thank you. Very polite, but just waiting with his hand out until he got one. And he was the first to get, of course. How about you and I? Confidently approach the throne of grace. Let's not look at our weaknesses and our failures. Let's learn to look into the Father's face and see the beauty of his love for you and for me. Let's maybe look occasionally to the side and see Jesus there saying, yes, I'm praying for you. This is what I paid for. That you and I can fearlessly, confidently draw near to the throne of grace, his unmerited favor to us sinners, that we may receive mercy for our failures. Just wanted to remind us, this is not new. This mercy, this grace, it's right deeply intrinsic to God's character. Remember the Ark of the Covenant, the glory above the Ark and at the mercy seat. There I will meet with you, and from above the mercy seat I will speak with you. Mercy was the foundation of that relationship between us and God. And above mercy, we'll see God's glory. One last thought to throw into this is that receiving mercy for your own life allows you to give it away. There's a truth in which if we don't give mercy to others, we don't receive mercy, because God says, I can't give you if you won't give up, also give to others. But I found deeper in my heart that the more I understand of God's mercy to me, the more I want to give away. And the parable of the unforgiving servant that had received so much from God and wouldn't give anything to his fellow servant is a challenge for us all. The more that I know this mercy, the gaze of the Father that's just excited that I'm running towards him, the more that I see Jesus praying at the right-hand side of God for me to give mercy, pity, compassion, how much will that dissolve the hardness of our hearts so that we, in turn, can give mercy to others? Just want to pray for a moment. We're not even, in this passage, we're not told to pray for mercy. We're not told to earn it or try and get it. We're just told to receive it. And that little child is coming to me with his hand out because he knew I was going to give something, expecting and waiting till he got one. How about we're like that with the Father? Boldly approaching the throne of grace to receive mercy, pity, compassion for our weaknesses and our failures. Let's pray. Father, I want to learn to see things from your end, from how you look at things, and to believe the joy in your heart when your children run to you with confidence in our mess, in our weaknesses, but to receive your mercy, your pity, your compassion, and to allow you to clothe us with them. So, Father, will you teach us all again this absolute right that's been given to us by the sacrifice of Jesus, to approach you with boldness, to receive your pity, your mercy, your compassion today. Amen. So again, let's not waste what God has paid for. And can you imagine the Father sitting waiting, saying, come on, come to me. And we say, no. Let's just get on with it and believe what God has paid for us and enjoy it forever and share it with others. God bless you.